One, two, three. One, two, three.
Good.
Oh, for village.
No, I just. Good evening. I'd like to call to order this Wednesday, October 20th, 2021, regular meeting of the Board of Education. Will you please call the roll?
Mr. Gomez? Here. Dr. Hall?
Here.
Ms. Moffett?
Here.
Ms. Schofield?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here. Item B, Agenda 1, motion to approve the agenda. It is recommended the Board of Education approve the agenda of the October 20th, 2021 regular Board of Education meeting. Action by the Board of Education in adoption of a consent agenda means that all items are adopted by one singular motion unless a member of the Board of Education, treasurer, or superintendent requests that any such item be removed from the consent agenda and voted upon separately.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Would you please call the roll?
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Welcome. I know we have at least one top tiger with us this evening, and perhaps a few more are on their way. If by chance they are not here this evening because we did have school cancellation.
There's some more coming over from the high school.
Oh, okay.
Perfect. Okay. We may want to wait then and amend our agenda. But we'll go ahead and welcome all of you that are here. Our vision, Cuyahoga Falls City Schools, the hub of our community, committed to a culture of caring. We innovate, we create, we personalize education for all. Our mission, every student, every day, every opportunity. 2, informational items. This meeting is a meeting of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business. It is not a public community meeting, although there are opportunities for public participation. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic found on the meeting agenda, the individual must complete a registration form found inside the attendance notebook and present it to the treasurer. Following an introduction of the topic by the board president, followed by board discussion, the individual will be recognized. If an individual wishes to address the board regarding a topic not found on the meeting agenda, she or he must notify the superintendent and or board president of the topic no later than 3 business days in advance of the meeting. These individuals may share their comments during the board business portion of the agenda. This evening, we have 4 individuals who have requested to address the board. They'll be asked to speak in the order in which they submitted their request. In accordance with board policy, a total of 30 minutes will be allocated to public comment. In addition, in public session, the board will not hear complaints about school personnel nor against any person connected with the school system. An unabridged board agenda for this meeting can be found at your electronic device at the address shown here on the screen. And for your convenience, hard copies of the board agenda can be found on the table on the side of the room. The next regularly scheduled meetings of the Cuyahoga Falls Board of Education are on November 3rd and November 17th at 5:30 p.m. And there's a special Board of Education meeting on November 10th at 5:30 p.m. in the Cuyahoga Falls High School Library, 2300 4th Street, Cuyahoga Falls. And now for our Pledge of Allegiance and Positive Reflections, Dr. Alex Hall.
Please stand as you're able for Thank you very much. Tonight's positive reflection reads as follows. In strange and uncertain times such as those we are living in, sometimes a reasonable person might despair, but hope is unreasonable and love is even greater than this. And that's from Robert Fripp.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. Now for presentations, the first one, Staff Recognition Star Award, Mrs. McClure.
Good evening, everybody. Our Staff Star Award is an award that our staff takes the opportunity to nominate each other for. We'd like to give them the opportunity to recognize folks that they work with every day that are going above and beyond doing extraordinary things. Our Star Award this evening was originally supposed to be given her award at the last meeting, but unfortunately she was unable to join us. So Mrs. Jennifer Gall, if you'd like to come up and join me, please. Jennifer is a kindergarten teacher at Richardson Elementary School, and I'd just like to read to you what her nominator said about her. With over 30 years of experience in the Cuyahoga Falls City School District, Jennifer Gall has developed quite a toolbox of tricks and tips to support student growth and achievement. Throughout her career, Jen has touched the lives of children in all of our buildings. Some of the roles she has had over the years include tutor, intervention specialist, 5th grade teacher, 3rd grade teacher, and currently kindergarten teacher. Jennifer is known by her colleagues to be a lifelong learner. Over the course of the 2020-2021 school year, Jen completed her TESOL endorsement, which is a licensure to teach English as a second language to students. With the COVID-19 environment, this was not an easy job. Jen has even mentioned that she would like to work with English learners in her retirement, which we had a conversation the other day. It's just getting closer and closer for both of us. Currently, Jen shares her knowledge across the district through her positions at Richardson on the BLT, the Building Leadership Team, the K-5 Science Committee, and as a building technology leader. One of her greatest assets is her need for deep understanding. She will go to all lengths to ensure that she knows and is doing what is best for her students. Ultimately, Jen has a heart of gold for her students, families, and colleagues. She always has a whatever it takes approach towards helping and supporting our Black Tiger family. Congratulations, Mrs. Gall. Would you like to say
I just want to basically thank Cuyahoga Falls for giving me the opportunity to learn and grow in all those positions, as they have allowed me to move from place to place to place as I found the need to have a challenge and to grow even further. I've had the tremendous honor of working with some amazing staff members who have helped me build the toolbox that was mentioned here tonight, as well as some administrators. I think most importantly, having the opportunity to learn from over the 600 students that I've had the honor of calling one of my own kids. So thanks.
Ms. McClure, I'd ask you to stay and help with the distribution of Top Tiger information. Top Tigers is a board award. We have those in the back.
Yep.
Top Tiger is a board award, and we recognize 2 students from every one of our buildings each month, beginning in the month of October. Tonight we have our secondary school students with us this evening. Top Tiger is also sponsored by the Cuyahoga Falls City Schools Foundation and Alumni Association. And Ms. Moffitt or Mr. Gomez? Ms. Moffitt, you're going to represent the foundation this evening?
I shall do so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Our Cuyahoga Falls Schools Foundation and Alumni Association was started many years ago with a donation from one person. And it was started by Dr. Harold Wilson, a former superintendent. Since that time, it has grown, and we have given out over $1 million worth of scholarships to high school students, and we also have teacher grants for some of our teachers. We are sponsored by Dietz Florist, Young's Silk Screen Printing, thank you, I never get that right. And also, Donato's, thank you, I know this is like my backhand. I am a trustee on the board, and we ask anyone who might like to join who is alumni to please find our website, and we also invite anyone who might be a friend of education to consider a membership as well. If a $25 amount is what you choose, it goes into the foundation. Anything above that goes for scholarships and teacher grants. We sponsor alumni reunions. We also sponsor the Memorial Day Parade. We have our Top Tigers marching with t-shirts that Mr. Gary didn't, Mr. Metcalf didn't give to me. So I encourage all of you, please, to consider a membership. It's well worth your cause, and our seniors that will be graduating will benefit from the scholarships that you donate towards. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Moffitt. We're truly blessed to have a Foundation Alumni Association that helps to support our students in scholarship and our teachers in many grants. Top Tigers. Hopefully you matriculated here from the high school if there was any confusion, and hopefully we have a good number of you despite the power outage that we experienced today. What I would ask from you is that when I announce your name, that if you are present, that you would come next to me at the podium. Ms. McClure has a bag of goodies for you and a flower that, as Ms. Moffitt described, are sponsored by or provided by our sponsors. So our first Top Tiger this evening is Eliana Polland. Is Eliana here? Okay, Eliana is sponsored by Ms. Kacharski, Ms. Salio, for the month of September 2021. Eliana is a very artistic student who enjoys anime. She hopes to play volleyball in high school. In writing class, Eliana is attentive and participates in activities. She is always respectful and a great role model for our Black Tiger family. Eliana is often seen following Black Tiger pride expectations across all school settings. Eliana, your great improvements have been noted by many staff members, and we believe that your concentrated efforts will continue beyond. You are destined to do great things. Congratulations on being a Top Tiger for Bullock Middle School.
Dr. Nichols, could we see just how many Top Tigers we do have with us tonight?
How many Top Tigers do we have out there? We have 2.
We have 2? So how about we go ahead and introduce these 2 to our audience and see who else might arrive and hold off on their recognition until they're able to be with us.
What's your name, Kylie? What building are you?
High school. So, congratulations, Kylie. I'll read a little narrative. She's nominated by Miss Jennifer Schulman and Mrs. Jen Culver. Don't let her fool you with her quiet demeanor. Kylie Sampson is strong, intelligent, and gracious young adult who plans to make her mark in this world. Trust me, her pen is ready. She has already impressed her remarkable role model, ready character for the past 4 years on those who look up to her in the marching band. Her dedication and poise sets a standard for all those around her. Through her maturity and goal-oriented focus, she carefully plans her next moves. She knows what it takes to be a good friend, citizen, successful student, and excellent human. Kylie's quiet but confident personality is always humble. She is an incredible visual artist with the talent and mindset to color the lives of all that surround her. It is clear that her strength of will, heart, and mind will carry her to incredible heights in her future. Kylie aspires to have a life that involves the arts, be it graphic design, digital illustration, or as a tattoo artist. The mark she will leave on the teachers at CFHS, her peers, and friends would never be just skin deep. This is not the temporary tattoo, it's permanent ink. Thank you, Kylie, for leaving a positive mark on our lives. We're proud to have you join the ranks of a top type in Cuyahoga Falls. Hi, Frederick. How are you today? Good. Congratulations on being a top type. Excellent. Frederick is nominated by the Instrumental Music Department, Ms. Culver, Mr. Harris, and Ms. Lambert. Freddie Brown is a remarkable member of the Cuyahoga Falls band program. His quiet leadership, commitment to personal excellence, and exemplary work ethic are an outstanding example to all of the students in both section and throughout the band. Freddie has consistently demonstrated his ability to successfully develop plans, implement them, and work effectively with his peers. He has worked closely with all of the band directors to provide vital leadership in both the marching band and concert band setting. His gracious personality, positive attitude, and strong sense of motivation are inspiring and will serve him well in his future endeavors. We are grateful for the contributions that Freddie has made to our band program at CFHS. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Item E, Treasurer CFO's business by consent agenda. Ms. Christie Stoykovic.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education, excuse me, approve all items listed in the treasurer's consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item?
Nope, just want to point out there are a number of donations at Richardson and Price. We are always thankful for.
Thank you. Please call the roll.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White? Aye. Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Item F, Treasurer CFO's business.
I'd like to recommend that the Board of Education approve the September 2021 investment schedule and monthly spending report.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Some discussion.
Yes. Okay, I can't see that, but I'll go for mine. Where do we want to go first? Can we pull up the interest first, please? Okay, so you can see on here, Star Ohio has remained about the same since last month. You see some increase. The Red Tree Investments, the very first one listed there, is our main account that we've had for a couple years with them. That is not part of the building project. The lower two are part of the building project. And you'll see a difference there that our general investments did better in September than August, while our construction ones went down. The reason for that is the timing of some of the items that we have or are invested in those. So because we are a little more diversified in the general account, there is more money in there. And it's not as much money market stuff as there is in the construction right now. That's the reason for that. I do have a projection I can send you that I got from Red Tree about what it's supposed to look like over the next 12 months as far as our account. So I'll send that out to you guys. Let's look at the athletics monthly cash flow. So we are back to pretty much normal here as far as athletics goes. We got about 50,000 in revenue. You can see that's very similar to 2020, which was pre-pandemic numbers there. Last year, obviously, being limited number of guests. Expenses at 32, so a positive result this month of 17, which brings their overall balance to 119, which is better with even before pre-pandemic for the month of September for them. So they're doing okay. I'm not concerned going further with them. Food service, I am also not concerned with, but this looks a little different than athletics. September was the month that we received our very first large payment, but it's still only a partial month payment. So that would have been for the month of August, which we were only in school about half of the month. So, but you will see the increase there in revenue. There is expenses of 153, very similar to last month. And you'll see the difference I've mentioned a number of times. Fiscal 20, we did not have spread pay, so they were not being paid over the summer in some of these months. And then it would all hit in September, would have been the beginning pay for them. Normally, now it's split out over 24 pays, so it's a little bit more static in that it doesn't fluctuate in those summer months. So you'll see at the very bottom, they are in the negative for this month, but again, like I said, I don't have those concerns. Now that we've transitioned to that 24 pay cycle, we have larger expenses in the summer than we typically have in years past, and we have not received a full month yet. And Joe, did you tell me what that was, or did Chef Bill tell me what that amount was going to be for October? It was a pretty hefty amount because they've had really good numbers, especially breakfast with students. So once those start coming in, now that we're submitting for full months, I don't have any concerns that it will be an issue going forward. And then general fund. September revenues, they're down from the past couple years. That is just due to timing of some of our settlements. We received one final settlement payment in September, but you can see in August it was higher than it normally is, or it has been the last few years. Expenditures, right in line with the years before. So a negative result of operations there, but still overall, we ended September a little over 24 million in the general fund. As you know, come October, November, December, those are our lower revenue months, so that will go down, but I don't predict that it goes down substantially at all in the end. I think that's it.
Any questions for Ms. Stoikoy on any of the financials?
I have one question about food service. Do we anticipate there being any negative financial hit because the power was down?
Not that
I can address that a little bit, Mr. Gomez. So we lost some milk, we lost some yogurt, but that's really all that we have lost. We talked about that in cabinet today, so the impact of the power outage is minimal.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Any further questions on the financials? Will you please call the roll?
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Any comments this evening?
Just real quick, and I'm not sure if you're aware, ODE had intended to have the new funding formula out and up and running and given to us in October. They have further delayed that to December now. So at that point, they'll true everything up with kind of what they're giving us now, which is really based on last year. It's kind of a placeholder. It's been that way since July. They've had more issues technically, and as they've been delving into it more questions, a few more questions to be answered of how exactly to apply it to each school district. So unfortunately, I won't have it before the November forecast to really see. I have simulation within my software, but I won't have any actual data regarding how it's going to be applied to us before the forecast. But once we do receive that, I can update you on that. So it's a further delay for now.
We do the forecast at the second meeting in November?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Ms. Stoikoy. Item G, Superintendent CEO's Business by Consent Agenda. Dr. Todd Nichols.
Thank you, President Schofield. Members of the board, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve all items listed in the superintendent's business consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on these items? Please call the roll.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Item H, Superintendent CEO's Business.
Thank you, President Schofield. I have really 3 items that I'd like to share with the group. First of all, we have parent-teacher conferences coming up, and we take these very seriously. We really want every one of our elementary students to be represented in conferences, whether they be in person, in Zoom, or via telephone, those kinds of things. But we really want to build those relationships with our youngest students for sure, and continue to build relationships with our secondary students, and focusing on those that might be struggling a bit academically or emotionally or what have you. And so we expect, our expectation is that all students that are struggling in any one of those ways will enjoy one of the conferences with our teachers via those methodologies. They are extremely important to us. It's an opportunity for us to really build relationships with our families, and from me, that is my expectation of our teaching staff. The second piece is November 2nd, obviously, is election day. We do use, Board of Elections does use our buildings, and so that does serve as a professional development day for us. But you know, I'm gonna echo the words of Judge Lisa Coates, who is a Rotary member here in Cuyahoga Falls with us. And regardless if you're an R, a D, or whatever you are, that it is our freedom and our right, unique right to vote and to cast our opinion at the ballot box. And so I'd encourage all of us to do so. In off years and non-presidential elections, we tend to have 17% of our citizenry, our registered voters, actually show up to vote. And so I would strongly encourage more of us to engage in our right. In a lot of cases, you know, and also piggybacking off of Judge Coates, that it might be more important who is your mayor, who are your council persons, who are your Board of Education members, who are, you know, your local officials. It might be more important who they are as opposed to necessarily people in Washington. right? Because some of the decisions that impact us here locally. And so I'd also like to take the opportunity, we have 3 members that are coming off of our board, and I know they've got another couple of months to serve for us, but the Cuyahoga Falls City Schools are in a better position than we've been in the 11 years that I've been here. We're in the best position we've been in. We're best positioned financially. We're best positioned with regard to our curriculum cycle. We're best positioned with regard to where we are in wellness. We're in the best position that we have been with regard to our buildings and our future. And so to Karen Schofield, to Kathy Moffitt, and to Alex Hall, thank you. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your service. I know you got a couple months yet to go, but with the election coming up and we won't have a board meeting until then, I've appreciated your camaraderie, your teamwork, your guidance, and even when you had to get after me every now and then, but that's okay too. So thank you so much, and I appreciate that. And Patty, you'll be the one constant. You'll be the one constant. And Alec, or Anthony, good luck. November 2nd, as well as all of our other board members or potential board members, people that are running for the board. So be very conscious and go to the board, go to the ballot, and take your opportunity to vote. And then another one is, the last piece is a piece of praise. Piece of praise for my team, piece of praise for our city folks. We are truly blessed in the city of Cuyahoga Falls to have the level of teamwork that we have. Okay, so we had a power outage, about 4 o'clock yesterday in that neighborhood. And since that point in time, until about 8, 9 o'clock this morning, my team, Ryan Hutch, who has to do everything with regard to technology, Amy, who put up signs and took care of everything regarding last night's cancellation, and then Joe and his team, who stayed up for hours, pretty much all night, to make sure that when we're up to speed, when power comes back on, we're ready to go to school. And unfortunately, that didn't happen until we had already passed the 5:30 deadline. You know, and then Mayor Walters, who sent me a message, he was at the scene until 1:30 a.m. He was at the scene until 1:30 a.m. and texted me this morning at about 5:30. So that level of cooperation in a city, between the city officials, the school district, etc., I mean, we're just truly blessed. We're truly blessed. We might not always agree with each other all of the time, you know, and that's okay. That's okay. That's how democracy works. But the bottom line is we're blessed to live in Cuyahoga Falls. So thank you to my teammates.
Thank you, Dr. Nichols. Item I, board business. Number 1, recognition of support organization. It is recommended that the Board of Education formally recognize the following support organization for the 2021-2022 academic year. The Bolick Middle School PTO.
So moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Thank you, Bolick. We'll add you to our officially approved list. Roll call, please.
Ms. White? Aye. Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffitt?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye. Item 2, policy, approval and adoption. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve and adopt the following policies, which were reviewed at the October 6th, 2021 Board of Education meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of these policies?
I just note, for the public who probably see a long list that isn't particularly meaningful, a lot of these policies are changed because of the state budget bill that comes every 2 years. They throw a bunch of random stuff into that, which then impacts us. So then it trickles down to us, and we change our policies to be in accordance with whatever the state laws are at the time. So that's pretty much 99% of all these changes are because of the new state budget.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Item 3, comments from the public. Would the following individuals please approach the podium? Mr. Ben Groden, Mr. Damian Unruh, please excuse me, Mr. Matthew Loretich, and Ms. Jennifer Case.
Do we not have St. Matthews?
Mr. Groden, you're first. Each individual has 3 minutes to address the board. We ask that you introduce yourself with your name and address.
My name is Benjamin Groden. I'm not giving you my address. I'm a parent here at Cuyahoga Falls. This man right here goes to Cuyahoga Falls High School. I want to ask a few questions. I see that the budget was picked apart, but yet there's something that's missing from it. The ESSER funds. How are they being spent? I doubt I'll get an answer, and I'll probably have to do another information request, but I will find out. It is over $5 million for ESSER Fund 3 that was given to this school, Cuyahoga Falls School District, for a very vague purpose. It's not described, it's not told about, it's just the federal funds involving COVID relief. Where did the money go? That's my question. And as I stand here, in the face of tyranny, which I will be very much here every single time, speaking out against it, quarantine is meant to restrict the movements of sick people. This boy was quarantined. He's not sick. There's nothing wrong with him. He's been standing up against all of this and has freedom of his choice as an individual to what he wants to do. He's not putting the risk of anybody's lives in jeopardy by doing that at all. Last time I checked, this was a free country, and you have the right to your own person and your own body. You know, there's a country that people love to use as an example for social policy, and that's Sweden. Sweden never locked down once throughout any of this. There hasn't been any record deaths. There hasn't been any catastrophic cataclysm that's happened because of it. Business went as normal throughout 2020 and 2021 in Sweden. You know, it's interesting is last week, I went in to turn in my paperwork at a leadership meeting last week for the board. Nobody in there really was wearing masks until I showed up and they noticed me standing in the corner. The vast majority of them weren't wearing masks. Rules for thee, not for me. With that being said, there will be a class action lawsuit against this board. For every individual child whose rights have been trampled upon, I do not believe the Board of Education under the Ohio law section ORC 3313, I don't think you're following it. So I'll be seeing you in court about it, and if there's any parents that are interested in this lawsuit, speak to me after the meeting. Here's a real black tiger.
Alright, my name is Damien. My address is none of your concern, and frankly, it's suspicious of you guys to ask for that. But besides that, I'm a senior at Cuyahoga Falls High School. Last week, Mr. Lang talked in favor of the mask mandate, but when he spoke, he said that the students of Cuyahoga Falls High School don't mind wearing masks. But just because they don't complain to you doesn't mean they don't mind. I know for a fact that was a lie. For this unconstitutional mandate, which was put into place before this unconstitutional mandate was put into place, about 70% of the students, definitely the majority, were not wearing masks. One other thing I'd like to say is that people sometimes call us selfish for wanting everyone in our school to have the choice to wear masks. But in reality, it's selfish for all of you to want everybody else to wear masks just for you to feel safe. I've been protesting this mandate for about a month now, carrying this sign here in my bag, and I've got a lot of support and a lot of backlash from students and teachers. Multiple students broke, took, or tried to take my sign during this time, and as of recent, a teacher laid his hands on me and my sign, which I'd just like you to think about. I'd also like to point out that at the last meeting, and at this meeting, there are multiple people wearing masks with writing that say, "Masks save lives," which is ironic because writing on masks compromises them. One thing I'd like to emphasize is that in my time carrying my sign, multiple of these negative students have said such phrases as, "There is no point," or "Just give up," or my favorite, "How has he not given up yet?" And that's just because we and I have spirit. We won't just give up after a tiny bit of pathetic pushback. One unrelated question I'd like to ask is who has the control of the breakfast and lunch stuff? Okay, whatever. Yeah. That's it.
Hi, my name is Matt. I live over on Madison Avenue. Even though we disagree, Damien, that should never happen to you at a public school. That's not acceptable. Quick history lesson, put us into perspective. We lost 50,000 Americans in Vietnam. We lost 419,000 in World War II. Over the last 10 years, we lost average 36,000 people per year to the flu. COVID, 746,000. That's 750,000 people. That's an awful lot. This is a big problem. So I listened to everybody intently last week, and I attempted to do my own research a little bit. And I think we would all agree that we would sacrifice everything for our children, regardless of what we believe. That's just part of being a parent. So, Journal of American Medical Association, they did test. They used sodium chloride particles, approximately the same size as the COVID virus. Masks like this provided a 79%. While that's not perfect, it is a significant amount. I checked Akron Children's Hospital. Their statement on masking: wearing a mask could be the difference in a student remaining in person or having to spend time in quarantine or isolation. I have to go to work. I can't have my kids at home. They need to be in school. And further, I heard some comments about CO2 with masks. The volume of air in your mask is small. There was a study over at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital, and of the 50 people they tested sitting and walking, and there was no noticeable drop in their oxygen levels, and they did not have additional carbon dioxide in their blood. I recently lost a friend to COVID, so this really hits home for me. He was 49. He had no medical conditions, unlike me. He left 3 kids without their primary financial support and without a father. I lost my father young as well, so that really hit home for me. Even if your kids don't experience symptoms, they can still bring it home, unfortunately. It's less common, but they can bring the virus home to us. Journal of American Medical Association, one more time. Face mask that one person wears to reduce the potential release of droplets that contain virus complements the mask that other people wear. So it's either a team effort or it doesn't work, basically. So, in my opinion, the risk for the children wearing masks is less than the benefit. The risk of the children wearing masks is less than the benefit of keeping them in the classrooms. I ask the board to continue following the advice of medical professionals, and let's try to keep our kids in school. Thank you.
Our last speaker this evening,
Thank
please
you.
introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jen Case. I'm not sure I want to give my address in front of the Proud Boys, who I believe are visiting us tonight. Is that okay? I did present it in the application.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm here to say thank you, and I'm here to publicly say that I support the board's decision to require masks at school. I am an alum of Bolick Middle School, Cuyahoga Falls High School, class of '95, and it makes me really proud to see my alma mater school board, make this decision for the health and safety of its community's kids and their families. You have withstood a large amount of scrutiny and vitriol and public criticism, and I applaud you remaining steady in your decision based on the recommendations of the CDC and APA. I attended the last school board meeting as well, so I also got to see the top Tiger Awards from the elementary school as well as tonight's. And I think it's beautiful to see the emphasis both on academic effort and character and kindness. As Kaylin, a speaker, reminded us 2 weeks ago, kindness is really the crux of the mask question. Wearing a mask protects ourselves and others. So again, thank you. Keep up the good work, and please consider renewing the mask mandate until the numbers of coronavirus decrease considerably. Thank you.
Item 4, future agenda items. Board members?
I have a couple things I want to answer. At the last meeting, I mentioned the homework policy. We need to have a presentation and discussion about that. So we could get that on perhaps one of the meetings in November. I also spoke to you, Dr. Nichols, about the first 9 weeks, how our kids are doing academically now that the majority of our kids are back in 5 days a week, as well as how discipline's going. We'd have some sort of information at one of the meetings next month. And then I know that the state report cards just got released. I know it's data only this year, but hopefully maybe December we could have a presentation on that. Dr. Cruz, would December be reasonable time to ask?
Yes.
So maybe one of the ones in December. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Board members, other items for our future agenda? Thank you. Hearing none, we'll move to item 5, committee reports. We'll begin with the Alliance for School and Community Growth. This is Kathy Moffett.
No report at this time.
Thank you. Athletics and Activity Council, Dr. Alex Hall.
We're meeting Monday.
Thank you. Board Policy, Ms. Patrice White and Mr. Anthony Gomez.
None at this time.
Thank you. Business Advisory Council, Mrs. Kathy Moffett and Ms. Patrice White.
None at this time.
Thank you. Financial Advisory Committee, Dr. Alex Hall.
We're meeting on November 11th.
Thank you. Foundation and Alumni Association, Mr. Anthony
I
Gomez.
do have a report. We met last week. Our membership campaign for the new year will be starting up very shortly. We have a really nice mailer that'll be going out to all our people that were members last year to ask them to renew their membership, as well as to seek out new members of the Foundation Alumni Association. Now is also a good time to think about nominating people for our Distinguished Alumni Award. This is the time that we'd like to get nominations for that, and we've rewritten the application packet for that. Mrs. Moffett did, because that's her committee, to try to be more encouraging. So really the only thing that is required is that you have to have graduated at least 10 years ago. So if someone's done something distinguished and graduated at least 10 years ago, and you know of them, we would love to nominate them for that award.
Mr. Gomez, may I interject too?
Absolutely.
We also have a Friends of Education Award, so even if you are not alumni, you are free to be nominated. And we also encourage volunteerism within the community. So please take a look at our recently updated nomination form to find out more and hopefully be able to nominate someone that you know or love dearly, because we are always looking for wonderful, distinguished alumni. Thank you.
And then our scholarship packets will be available to our seniors very shortly. I know that it's only October, but the rest of the year will fly by for our seniors, and it's time to start thinking about making those scholarship applications. hope to have a nice large trunk of awardees once again this year.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Any updates legislatively?
Yeah, so the financial literacy bill that I spoke about last time, there's some more information coming out about that. It is fully implemented in the 24-25 school year that financial literacy has to be a standalone class. And the State Board of Education is having a bit of an argument about whether or not their current financial literacy framework is going to be the content standards for this new financial literacy class, or if they need to write new ones. So they're sorting that out as well. But two exciting things in that bill. One, because teachers have to be certified to teach that class, they are creating a pathway through the state treasurer's office where teachers will be compensated for going to get that certification. So that's very exciting because that very rarely happens. The other thing they put into that bill is substitute. Teachers won't have to have a bachelor's degree to substitute, and that's an emergency measure. So as soon as the governor signs that bill, that will go into place. That's something we had last year that lapsed, and so that will be helpful. I'm sure Mrs. McClure is waiting for the governor to sign that so she can work with Rachel Wixie and try to get some more subs into our district. And then at the most recent State Board of Education meeting, they talked about some of the data that's coming out from the state report cards. I didn't know this, so this was a new learning for me, but the timing of the release of the state report cards is always after the Thursday after the State Board of Education meeting. So they met this past week, that's why they came out on Thursday. But they found that 25% of all students statewide last year were considered habitually truant, which means they missed at least 10% of the school year. I know that our rate of habitual truancy in Cuyahoga Falls was below that 25%, so that's something to be proud of. But it's a very interesting statistic as we dig out of the data to understand what was the impact of the pandemic on student achievement.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Now for student achievement, 3 major points. The district leadership team met on Monday, and this team is made up of district and building level administrators and coordinators and teacher representatives from their building leadership teams. We worked in small groups to first establish our norms of engagement, and then we took time to review and discuss each of the steps that are outlined by ODE in the Ohio improvement process. And this helps us focus in on continuous improvement strategies to address student achievement. Our next meeting's November 15th. Secondly, the Student Wellness and Success team also met this week as well. Part of our discussion was a social emotional learning assessment called Panorama that's being explored for consideration in grades 3 through 12. This assessment would measure students' mindsets, attitudes, and behaviors that are related to their success in school. The information can be used to identify the social emotional competencies of students so appropriate interventions can be designed. The data could help our school counselors design Tier 1 interventions for all students and also help them focus their work on small group guidance. It also helps staff members build positive and supportive student learning environments based on students' perceptions of their school. And then finally, Mr. Gomez mentioned a few times the state report card. The state report card was released last Thursday, and due to the challenges of COVID, the report cards, like last year, do not contain any overall grades for the district or the building, or individual grades for various performance measures, such as 3rd grade reading or 5th grade math. There's information on our graduation rate, attendance rate, technology access, along with financial data, but it is not as comprehensive as it has been in the past due to the COVID restrictions. That sums up student achievement, and I think we are now ready for comments. Let's start with me. I'll just make this comment that coming up is our fall high school play, the Mystery Classic Clue. It'll be at 7 o'clock on November 12th and 13th and 19th and 20th. Online tickets are available. So plan a night out, and support our high school students and figure out the whodunit. I'm always a fan of Miss Scarlett myself, so. So November 12th and 13th, 19th and 20th, the Mystery Classic Clue by our high school seniors. Come on out and join us and have some fun. Thank you. Ms. White, you're next.
Okay, you'll probably wish you'd saved me for later.
Okay, Ms. White, thank you. Mr. Gomez.
She just doesn't want me to read. I know. Okay. Well, first of all, congratulations to Silver Lake for the state support team. A PBIS recognition. Please be aware the One More Time concert for the band is October 28th. And then I have a couple of articles that I would like to read some of, not all, to some. But the first one deals with middle schoolers, especially those in 6th grade. And it's about the adolescent brain and a little more. Recent advances in brain imaging have revealed that a second spurt occurs during early adolescence, a phase generally defined as spanning ages 11 to 14. Early adolescence is when much of this wiring takes place. The middle school years are also what scientists call a sensitive period for social and emotional learning, when the brain is primed to learn from social clues. This makes early adolescence a window of opportunity, a chance to set students on a solid path for the remainder of their education. They're paying attention to the social world, and one way to learn about that is to do things for others. And they should be allowed to pick projects and partners whenever appropriate. Setting aside time to teach students the skills and mindsets that will help them succeed in high school and beyond is very important at this age. And middle schools often spend less time on social and emotional learning than elementary. Furthermore, in the article, it pointed out a few other things. In an effort to recapture some of the community feel of an elementary school, many schools have created advisory programs in which students start their day with a homeroom teacher and a small group of peers. The teams approach, dividing grades into smaller groups that work with their own group of instructors, that's another thing that can help them through. Roughly a third of 6th graders at White Oak Middle School spend half their day with one teacher who covers 4 subjects. And that was kind of interesting to me. Also, Project Success found that it had a positive effect on literacy and eliminated the achievement gap between poorer students and the better off peers. And finally, in this article, restoring recess. And to me, this is very much how I feel, and I know others on the board. Argyle was experimenting in other ways, and they gave the kids an hour-and-a-half wellness break, is what they called it, where they rotate between lunch, recess, and choice time every 30 minutes. This produced a lot of good effects. Between that, there's so much decline of play, and they found that that can cause a rise of mental illness in children. So we need to really give them time just to play among themselves, however we can. So that was one article that I found extremely fascinating. Another one, I'll try to be quick. The power of adaptive learning spaces in schools. As we're moving to the new building, just some things that I wanted to point out. Space is a deeply impactful tool for fostering connections between students, teachers, and the larger world of learning. A space that encourages movement, accelerates learning, and inspires passion in students. A sense of empowerment by giving him the opportunity to learn, explore, and study in whatever way works best for he or she. Furnishings and tools must be student-friendly, simple to use, and quick to adopt. And that's if you want to seek new learning approaches such as problem-based learning, active learning, and design thinking. Physical space becomes even stronger. And I think that was also the last part of this article. Are we providing students who need some downtime the opportunity to escape sometimes that loud collaborative environment? Just to remember to create spaces either inside or outside of the classrooms where students can reset and focus, and I believe the same is true for teachers as well. they need time in their own space to rest, to kind of take a break. And finally, Vygotsky's theory, and I'm sure all the teachers here loves hearing that, the zone of proximal development says that learners can acquire knowledge more rapidly when working with others who are more expert in a given task. His theory acknowledges that learners are transformed by their transactions with social and physical environments. So just some things to think about as we plan ahead for the future. Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. White. Now, Mr. Gomez.
In addition to some of the other exciting events, there's also trunk or treats coming up at 3 of our elementary schools tomorrow at Richardson, next week at Silver Lake and Lincoln. This Friday, DeWitt has their Boo Bash Monster Dance, and Bullock and Roberts have a joint bonfire at Bullock. So lots of exciting events in our buildings to try to reconnect our families after a time of being disconnected by COVID. Bullock was able to go on their DC trip, so shout out to Ms. Walter and her team for making that happen. I know it's an important experience for the families and the kids to have. I know Roberts got delayed till the spring, but they're still going to be able to go, so that's very exciting for our kids. Kudos to our team for working with the power outage, to our families for being flexible, especially to Mr. Brigatti and his team for all that they do for our district behind the scenes to make us run. So our appreciation to you. And then lastly, as we speak about COVID and masks and quarantines, there's an interesting study that came out of Butler County about quarantining. You might have seen that Lorain County and Medina County Public Health have changed their quarantine standards based off of that study. Several school districts in Butler County, which is right outside of Cincinnati, participated in a research study about whether or not kids that are close contacts need to quarantine. And they basically said they don't think they need to if they're wearing a mask and if they wear a mask for 14 days after that point of contact. So it's my understanding that at this time, Summit County Public Health has not adopted those findings. So that's where we are. We follow Summit County Public Health as we have throughout this. If they adopt those findings, as we have a million times, we will adjust our protocols as well.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Dr. Hall.
Yeah, some of the stuff I was going to say has already been said, but I would just extend sort of the excitement about Halloween. Obviously, the city's doing its own drive-through trick-or-treat on the 23rd, and then there will be the citywide door-to-door trick-or-treat on October 30th. So just want to make sure everybody is safe during that. And also echoing just the gratitude for getting us through this power outage. I know when I was in the classroom, you might think that teachers get excited when they have a day off, like that. But I know when I was in the classroom, it was actually pretty annoying to have to completely retool your lesson plan because you missed a day. So thank you to the teachers who tomorrow and tonight and probably for the rest of this week are going to have to be readjusting everything because of having a day off. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. And last, Mrs. Moffett.
I was going to mention the One More Time concert on October 28th. If by chance you folks missed an opportunity within the next week or so, the foundation will be having a table outside of the concert where you can join our wonderful Foundation Alumni Association at that time. And I was also going to mention the play that was taken. And I want to mention that I appreciate everyone coming this evening and speaking. But I would like to clarify that the reason at our meeting at the high school for our book study, our masks were off is because we were eating. Once we finished eating, we did put our masks back on. So I just wanted to clarify that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Moffett. Now, item J, the motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Dr. Hall?
Aye.
Ms. Moffett?
Aye.
Ms. Schofield?
Aye.
Ms. White?
Aye.
Mr. Gomez?
Aye.